The ship roared through the black sky, leaving behind the shining stars of the galactic core. Inside, 50 humans sat in silence, locked in metal chairs, hands tied. Their faces were hard, eyes sharp, but there was no fear, not anymore. They were the exiles, the criminals, rebels, and war-born troublemakers the Galactic Council wanted to erase. No trial, no defense, just exile. And not to any world, but KHARON-7. KHARON-7 was a cursed name across the stars. It was a planet wrapped in lightning storms and deadly winds. The air was toxic, the beasts were worse. No species had lasted more than 3 days there. Most ships never even landed. And now the humans were being sent there to die slowly and quietly. Far from the rest of the galaxy, the commander of the transport ship stood at the front. He was a tall, thin alien with yellow skin and black eyes. His voice echoed coldly. "Through the ship, you were judged unfit for life in the galactic system. Karen-7 will be your final home. You will not be rescued. You will not be watched. Survive if you can." The humans said nothing. But one of them, a woman with scars on her face and short black hair, looked up and smiled. As the ship entered Karen-7's orbit, fire wrapped around the hull. Wind howled like screaming ghosts. Lightning cracked just beneath the clouds. The alien crew didn't bother with a safe landing. They dropped the humans in a metal pod and launched it toward the ground like trash. The pod slammed into a thick jungle, shaking the earth. Trees snapped, and animals shrieked in the distance. Steam rose from the ground. The door burst open. Captain Lara Voss stepped out first. She was once a war hero, now labeled a terrorist. She looked up at the dark red sky and breathed in the filtered air through a mask. "Move," she ordered. The others followed, former soldiers, hackers, mechanics, medics, and one old man who had once designed weapons for Earth's last armies. They weren't just criminals. They were dangerous minds. They had been thrown onto a death world. The first night was chaos. Winds tore apart 2 of their tents. Strange beasts watched them from the tree-lined beasts with 6 legs and glowing eyes. The ground shifted when they walked, as if something massive moved beneath the surface. A creature attacked during the storm, tall as a shuttle, with black skin and bone-like blades on its arms. It killed 2 men before Voss and another fighter took it down with explosives. Blood soaked the dirt. The humans stared at the corpse. One of them said, "We need better weapons." Voss didn't blink. "Then we build." By morning, they had scavenged the pod. The tech team used power cells to build a perimeter shield. The hunters carved weapons from metal and bone. The medics stitched wounds while drones flew overhead, mapping the area. They were tired, hungry, angry, but not afraid. In the heart of the jungle, they found a ruined alien outpost. It had been destroyed long ago, maybe by the creatures that lived here. Inside, they found pieces of old tech, bits of armor, broken turrets. Wasn't much, but it was enough to build. By day 3, the camp had walls made of steel and bones. Smoke rose from their fires. Signals began to pulse from a hidden beacon, messages and code, bouncing off satellites. In the Galactic Council Hall, far away, a report arrived. It was meant to say human presence terminated, but instead it said something else. Unusual. Signal activity detected from Karen-7. The council members laughed. They won't last a week. But deep in the jungle, the humans were already planning. They had scouted water sources, built hunting routes, and turned the wrecked alien outpost into a command center. The old man engineer Rowe had repaired part of a plasma turret using scrap and beast bones. Voss stood on a hill, watching the horizon. In the distance, strange lights moved. Beasts, maybe, or something worse. She turned to her people. "This is our home now, not a grave. A fortress." A young soldier asked, "You think they'll come back?" Voss's smile was sharp. "They do. They'll regret it." That night, a drone buzzed high above the camp, sent from a patrol ship to confirm the humans were dead. It flew in low, scanned the surface, and then vanished from the sky. Back in orbit, the ship's pilot stared at the screen. The Drone signal lost. Hostile contact? Unknown. The footage ended with a flash of light and a human face. Staring into the camera, back on the planet, Lara Voss watched the burning wreckage of the drone. "They're watching," said one of her crew. "Good," she replied. "Let them see." Karin 7 was never meant to be lived on. It was a death sentence. Final stop for those who had no future. But humans didn't die. Quietly they adapted, they fought, and they turned hell into something far worse. Smoke floated over the trees of Karin 7. The jungle, once untouched and wild, was now filled with strange sounds, hammering, cutting, distant screams of beasts, and something new, music. A radio played a broken melody made from scraps of old Earth tunes. In the middle of this chaos, humans worked. It had been 1 week since they were exiled, and they were still alive. The council couldn't believe it. A drone had been sent to confirm their deaths, but it never came back. Another drone was sent. This one flew higher and stayed farther from the ground. Its camera scanned wide areas of the jungle and sent the footage back in real time. What the council saw made them sit in silence. Fire pits burned in a wide circle. Around them were steel walls made from ship parts, bones, and jungle wood. Humans moved in teams. They wore armor made of beast hide. Some carried weapons, long blades mixed with glowing alien tech. Others carried energy rifles, clearly not. Human dash made in the center. A small tower stood with a blinking light. The beacon. Someone had repaired it. How did they fix the beacon? One council member whispered. Another said, they should be dead. The signal wasn't just a beacon, it was coded Earth military encryption. It was old code, but powerful. Someone down there still remembered how to fight a war. On the surface, Captain Voss watched the signal pulse into the sky. "We're no longer hiding," she said. Rowe. The engineer nodded. "They know we're alive. We're time to let them know what else we are." Voss smiled. Warborn. More drones came, smaller, faster ones. They flew closer, scanning the humans. This time they got a clearer view. They saw humans training with weapons. They saw beasts being skinned and studied. Saw maps being drawn on stone and metal. They saw children, young ones, learning to fight. Then the humans noticed the drones. The first one was caught by a net launched straight from a hand-built turret. Others tried to escape, but a strange electromagnetic pulse shot from a tower, frying 2 of them instantly. Back in council space, alarms rang. All drone contact lost. EM attack confirmed. What? What are they doing down there? Scientists leaned forward. They're building, they're adapting, and they're turning Karin 7 into something else. Down below, Voss stood near a captured drone. Its lens cracked. Its data was pulled from its core. Rowe held a screen. Council tech. New models. Good, Voss said. We'll use them. The humans were not just surviving, they were evolving. They'd found crashed ships deep in the forest, pieces of old machines buried under roots and time. Some said the planet was once home to an ancient war, long before the council claimed it was uninhabitable. And now, that war was starting again with new soldiers, the Black Zone. Once the deadliest part of Karin 7 had been cleared by fire, the humans had driven out the creatures, burned the nests, and filled the land with traps and outposts. No one had ever lived in the Black Zone before. Now, it belonged to Earth. A group of young scouts moved through the jungle, silent and fast. They carried handmade bows with electrified tips. They used hand signs to communicate. At night, they slept. In trees, by morning, they hunted beasts and collected strange plants that glowed. One of them, a girl named Milla, returned to camp with blood on her clothes. "Big one," she said. 10 meters. Eyes like fire. Voss looked at her and smiled. "It's dead." Beast meat was becoming food. Skins were turned into armor. Blood was used for fuel. The jungle that once hunted, humans now fed them. But the council wasn't done watching. They sent a scout ship, a stealth unit with cloaking tech, and 3 elite observers. Their job was to land near the human base, watch, report, and leave without contact. They landed on day 9. They didn't make it to day 10. Voss watched the explosion from her lookout post. A pillar of fire lit the sky. She didn't smile. She didn't cheer. They sent observers, she said. They know we're not prey. Later that night, a council signal appeared in the skies, a warning broadcast. Human activity on. Karensaven is unauthorized. Cease expansion. Cease signal broadcasts. No rescue will come. Your fate is sealed. Boss sent a message back. No encryption, no lies. You gave us death. We made it home. Send more if you dare. The jungle echoed with the sound of human laughter. Far away. In the galactic command hall, the council stared at the response. They're not just alive, said one general. They're challenging us. A decision was made. A mercenary team would be hired. Not soldiers, killers, hunters of hard targets. Known across the galaxy for silent strikes and efficient extermination, the leader of the team, six-armed reptilian named Threx, watched the human footage and grinned. They're bold, he said. Good, I like bold. He accepted the contract. KHARON-7 was about to become a testing ground. But the humans weren't just waiting. They had built new weapons hybrids of old Earth tech and alien tools. Their armor now shimmered with adaptive materials. Scouts moved faster, hit harder, vanished. In seconds, their eyes burned with purpose. This was no longer exile. This was war. The black zone burned, and the stars above began to watch more carefully, because something terrifying had awakened on. Caro N-7, something no one expected. Humans, the mercenary ship dropped through the clouds. Like a knife through cloth, its engines were silent. Its armor was black. It made no announcement. No warning. Just shadows falling over the jungle. Inside were 12 of the most dangerous killers in the galaxy. Not soldiers. Not peacekeepers. Hunters, trained to kill anything that moved. Paid by the Galactic Council with one simple mission: eliminate the human infestation on Karin 7. Leave nothing standing. Their leader, Threx, stood tall among them. His 6 arms held different weapons. His face was cold. He had hunted across 100 systems, never lost. He didn't speak much. Didn't need to. His eyes told the team what they needed to know. This would be quick. But it wasn't. They landed in a clearing, green and silent. Too silent. Trees stood still. The wind had stopped. The ground felt soft beneath their feet, almost too soft. Scout stepped forward to scan for life. His visor glowed. No heat signatures. No movement. No humans. Threx narrowed his eyes. They're close. Keep your weapons hot. They moved forward slowly, spreading out in a hunting pattern. 5 minutes passed, then 10. Still no signs of life, and then one of them vanished. No scream. No sound. 1 second, he was there. Next second, gone. Unit 4? Someone called, no reply. Threx raised a hand. Fall back. But it was too late. A sharp blast echoed from the Tress plasma mixed with kinetic force. One mercenary flew backward. Hit by something unseen, blood splashed the leaves. Ambush, someone yelled. Suddenly, the jungle came alive. Traps sprung from the ground spikes. Nets, sonic bombs. Shapes moved in the shadows, fast, too fast. One by one, the mercenaries were pulled into the dark. Threx shouted into his cums. They're not animals. They're hunters. From the trees above, a human dropped onto one of the mercenaries, fast and brutal, a knife in each hand, armor made from beast hide and alien plating. The mercenary tried to fight back but was taken down in seconds. The rest of the team panicked. They fired wildly into the trees. Plasma blasts lit the forest, but nothing hit. The attackers were ghosts. They struck from the sides, from below, from above. Every movement was planned. Every kill was clean. Threx activated. His emergency beacon, extraction. Extraction now. In orbit, the mercenary ship picked up the signal, but something was wrong. The beacon signal wasn't stable. It was moving. Fast, sir, the pilot said. The signal is wait. It's inside a transport crate. Human had stolen. The beacon placed it inside a dead merc's armor and sent it running in circles. On the ground, Threx was the last one standing. He breathed heavily, 4 of his 6 arms bleeding. He was surrounded by smoke. Could hear movement boots against dirt, leaves rustling, whispers in the air. He turned in circles, trying to track the sound. "Show yourself," he roared. Then slowly a figure stepped out from the shadows. "Captain?" Lara Voss. Her armor was cracked, but her eyes were calm. Behind her stood 10 other humans, armed, silent, ready. "You thought we were prey," she said, "but you were wrong." Threx raised his blaster. "Try it," she whispered. He didn't dare. Moment later, a stun dart hit his neck. His body went limp. The mercenary ship never received another signal. Back in council space. The mission timer hit 0, 12 mercenaries in, 0 out. They reviewed the final drone feed, static shouts, screams, then a brief. Flash a human holding. A council-issued rifle, and smiling, the room went quiet. "They ambushed Threx's team," one commander asked, voice shaking. "No one ambushes Threx." "Well, humans do." That night, every council news network went dark for 20 seconds. When the screens returned, one message showed in every system: "You sent hunters. Hunted them. Send more, and we will come for you." The survivors of KHARON-7 panic spread fast. The council called it a temporary failure. But deep down, they knew something terrifying was happening. Humans were not just surviving. They were fighting back with skill, with speed, with no fear. KHARON-7 had become their war zone. And every time someone tried to kill them, they just got better. The council had finally stopped laughing. 3 teams sent, 3 teams lost. There was silence in the great chambers of the Galactic Hall. All eyes turned to one thing: the surface footage from Karin 7. What they saw were not weak, broken prisoners. They saw trained warriors. Organized, intelligent, brutal. They had sent hunters. And now those hunters were gone. So the council changed their plan. They would not send mercenaries. They would send soldiers, elite commandos from the Planetary Guard, armed with high-tech weapons, tactical drones, and full atmospheric support. Ships were loaded. Missions were approved. Everyone believed this would finally end the problem. The commandos arrived 2 days later, 4 dropships, landing in 4 different zones. Each team moved fast, sweeping through jungle and ash plains. They used scanners that read heat, movement, even heartbeat. Their orders were simple: capture 1 human alive, kill the rest. Team Blue landed near what looked like ruins. Trees had been chopped down. Beast skulls hung from wooden poles. No sign of life, but strange symbols were painted on the ground, some in blood, some in fire ash. "Trap markers?" one soldier asked. "Or warnings," said another. They moved forward. For 20 minutes, there was nothing. Then one man stepped on a patch of dirt. The ground swallowed him. A deep pit lined with metal spikes. He didn't scream. He died fast. The team froze. "Full defense posture," their commander ordered. Drones were released into the air. But one by one, they dropped fried by an unknown. Signal. Back in orbit. The command ship lost contact with Blue Team. Same thing happened to Team Red and Team Gold. Only Team Shadow remained deep in the South Jungle, where no drones had ever returned. Captain Riss of Shadow Squad was known for surviving the worst. He had fought on volcanic moons and acid oceans. He didn't scare easily. But something about this mission felt wrong. "Keep moving. Keep eyes open," he said. His squad moved in silence. But Karin 7 wasn't silent anymore. It was whispering somewhere. Far off, voices echoed through the jungle, human voices speaking in Earth language and clicking codes. Trees shifted, though there was no wind. Then the first explosion hit. A mine, handmade, triggered by pressure and heat. The squad scattered from the treetops came smoke and darts. Some hit armor, others hit necks. Rish shouted for cover, but the forest was a maze. Turned to see one of his men being dragged into the dark. Then came the sounds, not screams, laughter. Human laughter. Riss called for evac, but nothing came. Up above, the command ship was under attack not from the ground, but from the signal towers the humans had built. Somehow they were jamming the comms and creating sensor illusions. The ship couldn't even locate their own teams. Riss and 2 of his squad made it into a stone structure, probably old ruins. The walls were marked with carvings. Not alien ones, human. It was a war map. Dozens of lines showing troop paths, enemy landing zones, predicted attack waves. It looked like the plan of a full military base. "How is this even possible?" whispered one soldier. "They're not survivors," Riss said. "They're planning a campaign." Suddenly, a noise came from behind them. Not a beast. A footstep. Captain Lara Voss stepped into the room. She wore a cloak made from jungle beast fur. Her eyes were cold. She held no weapon, but there were 10 fighters behind her who did. "You thought rules mattered here?" she said. "This is war, and we make the rules now." Riss raised his weapon, but Voss didn't flinch. "We could have killed all of you," she said calmly. "We chose not to. You're a message." Dart hit Riss in the neck. He collapsed, eyes still open. Back on the command ship, a voice came through all emergency channels. It was Voss. No encryption. Just her voice, clear and cold. "You've broken your own laws by sending death squads to silence us. That means the rules are gone. You call this a prison. We call it training." She paused. "If you keep coming, we'll show you what real war looks like." And silence. The council didn't send more soldiers that day. Instead, they started whispering among themselves. What if the humans build a ship? What if they leave the planet? What if? This spreads. On Karen 7, the humans celebrated, not with joy, but with readiness. New weapons were being tested. New traps being set. Every attack taught them more. Every death made them stronger. Beasts had learned to avoid human zones. The jungle itself seemed to shift around them. At the center of their base, a new wall was being built. Not to keep things out, but to send a message to the skies above. This was no longer exile. It was a nation, and war was their language. Karen 7 turned red dot from space. It looked like a dying star. Heat signatures flared across the surface. Massive clouds of smoke climbed into the sky, curling into the upper atmosphere. Cracks opened across the black zone. Firestorms raced through. Valleys orbiting ships watched closely, recording everything. The Galactic Council had stopped pretending. No more quiet missions. No more clean jobs. Now, they were sending destruction. They called it Operation Clean Sky. 10 orbital cruisers. 14 gunships. 8 drone carriers. All aimed at one target: wipe out the humans of Karen 7. Using long-range bombardment, Council Command approved the operation with one statement. This will not be war. It will be a lesson. Captain Lara Voss saw the first beam cut across. The sky, before she heard it, split the clouds and slammed into the southern hills, lighting the jungle on fire. Birds screamed and flew into the black smoke. She didn't panic. She stood still, watching the sky. "They're scared," she said softly. Engineer Rowe came running. "They've launched full orbital strikes. This isn't a message, it's execution." Then we answer. The humans had prepared for this. Ever since they captured the Council's drone cores and cracked some of their comms systems, they had been studying orbital weapon paths. They didn't have powerful shields, but they had something better. Camouflage, tunnels, diversion, whole sections of their base were underground now. Fake buildings sat above as decoys. Even the beacon towers were moved daily. The Council's first 5 shots hit nothing but empty ground. Still, the destruction was real. Explosions flattened trees, burned forests, and sent beasts running toward human zones in panic. Some tried to break through the walls. Others ran right into human traps and were torn apart. The air smelled like smoke and ash inside the command bunker. Voss studied the blast zones. "They're not targeting randomly," she said. "They're triangulating our comms." Rowe nodded. "We can spoof their scans. Give them a location we want them to hit." "Perfect. Let's give them hell." An hour later, a council cruiser picked up a high-energy human transmission. The signal was traced. The council fired a plasma strike directly onto the coordinates. But what they hit wasn't a base. It was a crater lined with fuel barrels and broken ship parts. The moment the plasma hit, the entire crater exploded upward in a blinding flash. One of the cruisers, positioned directly above the detonation, was caught in the upward blast. Its engines sputtered. Its orbit shifted. Then it fell. The crew didn't even have time to scream. From the ground, the humans watched as the council. Warship broke apart and slammed into the jungle far in the north. The sound of it hitting the planet was like thunder from the gods. For the first time, the council had lost a cruiser not in battle, but by their own miscalculation. A new message was sent to the Galactic Council. This one wasn't subtle. You wanted fire. We gave you a grave. Panic spread faster than light. On Karen 7, the humans pulled pieces from the crashed ship. They ripped out weapons, energy cores, shielding tech. Rowe laughed like a maniac as he dragged a glowing energy coil across the mud. We're building them back better, he said, human style. A new turret was built using parts from the wrecked cruiser. It wasn't just a gun. It could shoot into the sky. When another drone carrier passed too close, the humans fired. The bolt ripped through the black clouds and struck the drone ship's underbelly. The ship lost power and began to drift, crashing several kilometers away. Now the council had lost 2 ships. Suddenly, silence returned to orbit. No more shots, no more bombardment, just silence. Inside the council hall, the leaders argued. They've turned the planet into a fortress. They have anti-ship weapons now. Can't keep throwing ships into that fire. Humans didn't stop. They continued building. Now openly. Walls grew taller. Watchtowers brighter. Drones were hacked and reprogrammed. Patrols walked the jungle with hybrid weapons plasma mixed with steel, alien shields strapped to their backs. Even the beasts changed. They stayed away from human land. They feared it. Some even seemed to obey the humans kept as guards, or Bait Corone-7. It was no longer a place of exile. It was a factory of war, and humanity was no longer playing defense. They were getting ready. To go on the offensive, the jungle was too quiet. The alien battalion, over 300 strong, moved carefully through the southern basin of Karen 7. They had landed just before dawn, heavily armed, wearing full battle armor with surveillance drones flying ahead of them. Their goal was clear: reach the human zone, confirm base structures, and destroy anything standing. But there were no walls, no buildings, no defenses, nothing. Just trees, fog, empty ground. General Krava, a hardened warrior from the Venari species, led the group. She was suspicious. Her claws clicked against her plasma rifle as she scanned the jungle. Where are the humans? Growled, one of her officers answered. Scanners pick up faint energy signatures, but they keep changing. It's like the ground is lying. The jungle was still. Oh. But the soldiers felt watched. Every hour something changed. A tree that wasn't. There before, a strange buzzing noise. A trail that led in circles. Then came the first death. A soldier stepped on a patch of grass. It clicked. A half-second later, the entire tree beside him exploded, showering him with molten bark and splinters of metal. He died instantly. Then another. Soldier vanished. No sound, no scream, just gone. Scatter. Defensive spread, Krava ordered. Too late. Dozens of traps activated at once, tripwires, pressure mines, spikes launched from the dirt. Sonic bursts that caused instant vomiting and blackout. Soldiers fell everywhere. Some shot their own teammates in panic, and still they saw no humans. The jungle fought them. After hours of chaos, Krava gathered what was left of her force. Maybe half. They regrouped in a small clearing, surrounded by cliffs. There's no base, one officer panted. They've turned the jungle into the base. Krava looked at him. They don't need walls. They built a hunting ground. Night fell fast. Visibility dropped. Heat signatures flickered, then vanished. Then came the whispers. Human voices. Calm. Close. Krava raised her weapon. Shh. Show yourselves. A deep voice responded. From everywhere and nowhere, you already walked in. Now let's see if you can walk out. Red lights blinked in the distance. Not machines' eyes. The soldiers opened fire, but hit only shadows. One by one, they were pulled into the trees. When morning came, only 50 soldiers remained. A single human stepped into the open. A young woman, her armor made of beast hide and metal. She held no gun, just a knife and a mask. Krava aimed her rifle. Don't move. The woman smiled beneath the mask. You can't win here. Krava's hand shook. This planet eats armies, the woman said. We just feed it. Krava ordered a retreat. They fled through the jungle, chased by traps, sounds, smoke. It didn't feel like a battlefield, it felt like a curse. When they reached their extraction zone, only 15 remained. The evac ship picked them up. No one spoke during the flight. When they reached orbit, a message was waiting. It had been sent to every warship, every command post, every council frequency. It was human-made. A single sentence. Welcome to our jungle. Back on Karen 7, Lara Voss stood before a glowing map. Her people had names for every kill zone, every trap line, every hidden gun. She didn't need a bunker. She didn't need a fortress. She had the jungle, and the jungle now had a purpose. The prisoner sat in a dark room, chained to the floor, surrounded by cold metal walls. Lights above flickered. He was human, young, thin, his clothes torn, but his eyes steady. No fear, no panic. He had been captured during a recon raid on the outer edges of Karen's, Evan sedated and dragged onto a council scout ship. The guards thought he would cry. They thought he would beg, but he just sat still. 3 council interrogators entered, each from a different species. One walked with 4 legs, one floated. One had a face full of blinking eyes. All were trained in fear extraction, psychological warfare, truth reading. The human looked at them and smiled. Name, the first interrogator demanded. He said nothing. Your rank. Your mission. How many of you are there? Silence. The floating one used. A neural prod. Pain surged through his brain. His body jerked, but he didn't scream. You will talk. Everyone does. He finally looked up. His voice was low. Calm. You call us monsters. You don't even know what that word means. The interrogators froze. That wasn't fear. That was control, he continued. You sent your hunters, your elite, your fire from the sky. You called us animals, but we adapted. Now you're afraid. One of the guards stepped forward to hit him, but the lead interrogator stopped him. What are you doing on Karen 7? The human answered in one word, building. What are you building? He smiled. The future. The council didn't understand. Back on Karen 7, their ship circled nervously. Scanners searched the surface, but the humans had learned to hide even their signals. Their heat signatures blended with the jungle. Their tech was masked. The land had become alive, shaped by human hands. In the center of the black zone stood a new tower. It was made of stone, metal, and bones. It's not built for defense, but to send a message. At the top flew a flag. Not of any old Earth nation. It was something new. Black field with a red mark like a flame wrapped in chains. They had named themselves the New Human Order. Not a rebellion. Not a colony. Something different. Something ancient and dangerous. The council reviewed intercepted human recordings. They showed soldiers training children to fight. Engineers building energy cannons out of scrap. Scouts walking into predator nests and coming out with living beasts on leashes in every image. The humans looked calm, focused, ready. One footage showed Lara Voss speaking to her people. She stood on a platform made of salvaged ship parts. Her voice was strong. They call us monsters, but we're not monsters. We're something worse to them, humans who don't break. Humans who don't run. They wanted us silent. Instead, we became warriors. They wanted a grave. Instead, we built a home. They will never understand what they created here, but soon they will feel it. That message was never meant for the council, but they found it and they listened. Over and over again, they've stopped being afraid. A council admiral said quietly. Another responded, no. They were never afraid. We were. Back in the interrogation room, the human prisoner finally spoke again. You can beat me, shock me, starve me. You think I'll give you something that matters? He leaned forward, eyes locked on the lead interrogator. You're already too late, then he laughed. The council ship froze, systems shut down, lights flickered. Prisoner had a chip hidden under his skin, triggered by brain signals. One final message sent to the surface. The humans had let him be captured. On purpose, down on Karen 7, Voss received the signal. Response was simple. Move to Phase 7. All across the jungle, weapons came online. Cannons turned. Underground hatches opened. Massive engines began to hum in the dark. The galaxy had called them monsters, beasts, exiles. But the truth was worse. They were humanity. Now they had a plan. The sky above Karen 7 glowed red again, but this time it wasn't from fire. It was from launch engines for the first time. In years, something was rising from the death world, not falling onto it. A massive object pushed through the clouds. It was a ship, but not one built in a shipyard. It had no design records, no permission, no nation behind it. It was human, yes, but born of exile, war, and rage. The Ravager won the first warship. Ever constructed on a prison planet, its body was made of torn cruiser parts, jungle metal, and alien wreckage. Its engines glowed with stolen cores. Its weapons were patched together by Rowe and his team of engineers, some older than war. Masson barely past childhood. Inside, Lara Voss stood at the command platform. She looked at the rising storm of flame. Behind them, and then out at the stars, it's time, she said. A young pilot looked at her. Are we going to war? Voss smiled. No. We already won the war here. Now we're sending a message. Back in the Galactic Council chamber, alarms screamed. Unauthorized ship launched from Karen 7. Impossible. We're never supposed to reach orbit. They don't have that kind of technology. They did. And they used it. One fired a warning shot. Not at a council city. Not at a colony. But at a weapons storage satellite. The blast shattered it into pieces, sending shrapnel raining down across council-controlled space. It was a statement on every major comm channel. A message played. Human voice, clean, calm. You exiled us. You called it justice. You turned your backs on your own laws. We lived. We fought. We survived. And now we decide. The council went silent. We decide who is unfit for this galaxy. We decide who's dangerous. You exiled us. Now we will exile you. Ships across the quadrant received the same message. Pirate fleets. Outcast colonies. Abandoned humans from old wars. Soldiers from dead nations. And they responded, we hear you. The new human order wasn't just a single group on a jungle world anymore. It was a symbol, a cause. And now, with the Ravager 1 in the sky, they had reached. Karen 7 became a beacon planet. Ships began arriving, secretly humans from across the stars, bringing tech, weapons, blueprints, loyalty. They landed not in fear, but in unity. The council tried to shut it down. They sent signals, threats, sanctions, but fear had already changed. Sides once, Karen 7 was a punishment. Now, it was a capital. Voss stood before her people. Her voice echoed through the jungle city they had built. They thought this world would break us. Instead, it forged us. We have no flags, no borders. It are one defined not by where we came from, but by what we became. The crowd shouted back, Human! She raised her hand. We are not looking for war. But if war finds us, we will remind this galaxy who we are. As the Ravager 1 disappeared into the stars, the planets that had laughed at Earth began locking their borders. Some offered apologies. Others begged for peace, but it was too late. A new power had risen, not from wealth, not from technology, but from pure will. They had tried to kill humanity, but they had only made it stronger.